Good morning, everyone. Again, this is Mark Cabrera here from Samson Properties. I'd like to talk to you guys about know when you need a coach. I know a lot of times we might think we already know what we know, but what we don't realize is we don't know what we don't know. And really, that's where our growth begins. Our growth begins in areas where we don't know a particular area of our business that we could be capitalizing on. Even though we think that we're doing well or we're doing okay already, but in reality, we could always do better. To me, it's always nice to have money. Money is like air. You know, when you have air, you can breathe and you feel comfortable. But when you don't have air, you're looking for the air, right? That's exactly what money is. You're looking for it if your bills are coming in and there's no money to pay it. So I'm here to talk to you guys about how to grow your business and why a coach would be beneficial to you. And the reason why I want to bring this up is because a lot of the times we might already think that we're doing okay already, like I said. But the reality of it, our potential in real estate is unlimited. When I came into this business in 1995, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking, wow, this business is unlimited potential. You can make as much as you want. But nobody ever told me that you could always lose money by paying all your dues and all your monthly fees and all that stuff. And it's also a bottomless pit. So you got the sky's the limit, and then you got the bottomless pit. So pretty much the choice is yours, because it's either you're growing in this business or you're dying in this business, and eventually you'll be out of business. So if you've been in this business for 3-4 years and you haven't sold a house yet, you may want to question yourself, why am I doing this? Is this like a hobby that I just want to spend money on, or is it a business that I can make money on and change my lifestyle? So this is what we're going to talk about today. Know when you need a coach, because the coach will guide you through the process. The people that I'm coaching today makes a lot more. I'm saying a lot more. I have like agents right now, they're literally haven't produced for a year, and all of a sudden they're actually closing a transaction, after 2-3 months of coaching. So, being coached makes a big difference, especially if the coach know exactly where you are in your business and where you need to be in your business. Because sometimes we don't know. And that's where I came in the first 4 years of my career, from 95 to 99. I was selling one house per year on average. So there's years that I didn't even sell a house. Probably I sold my last 3 out of the 4 houses I sold in 4 years is actually in the last 2 years of the business, because I finally learned some stuff, but not enough to really become full-time in the business. So not until I met a person that was in the same office that was producing transaction, and I came up to him and I said to him, hey, listen, you look very busy. How come you don't have an assistant? And he's like, well, I have an assistant, but my assistant doesn't do anything for me. And I told him, it's like, well, I'm with a broker. Why don't you trade me in? I'll do a lot of things for you. I'll clean up all these files and, take care of your clients and stuff. So, and he asked me, like, how much you make? I was like, I make $45,000 a year. It's like, I can't afford you. I said, how much you want to pay? And he's like, I can only pay like $10 an hour. It's like $21,000 a year. I was like, you know what? I'll take that pay. And just pay me 10% of everything that I work on. And that's the beginning of where my career started. My first year doing exactly that, on my first year, I made $75,000. And that's from 60 transactions that I was able to work with him. So imagine 60 transactions, how many years it takes you to do 60 transactions, especially when you're starting without anyone showing you the business. It'll take you years. At that point, you'll have the same skill set that I end up getting in the first year of my career. So my second year, I broke over $105,000. And then the third year was like 180, fourth year over 200. And in 2003, 1 year before I left him, he was paying me $300,000 a year. But here's the difference. It was on a 50-50 split. So I was getting paid $300,000, and he came up to me one time. He wrote me a check for $92,000 in 1 month, and he said, nobody your age make this kind of money, right? And I told him, like, Well, this is only half of it, right? The other half, I don't know anybody that actually makes $92,000 doing nothing, because at this point I'm doing everything because you already showed me the business. So I was giving back in that sense. So, and at some point, he even offered me a $200,000 salary, and I told him, like, no, it's okay. I'll keep working the way I'm working, because I know what my potential at that point is. And it was an eye-opener for me to understand, because with me working with somebody who knew the business, and I saw exactly how he does the business, more importantly, I understood the mindset that it requires to be successful in this business. See, it's really the difference between successful people in the business and doing mediocre. It's our ego that gets in our way, because we tend to actually think that we already know. How do you expect anyone to teach you anything if they think you already know because you tell them you already know? And that's the biggest difference, because we hold ourselves back in terms of what we think we already know. But in reality, we don't know enough. If you're not making the income of the person that's teaching you the business, then you could learn from that person. That's the way the general rule I have with the people I mentor. If you're making the same or more income than I do at this point, you don't need me. You need someone else. You need someone on the next level of wherever you want to be. But as long as you're not surpassing my income, even as a mentor, I mean, I've seen some mentors out there, they kind of focus their energies in training and development and stuff like that. I'm perfectly fine with that. I still focus myself in my training and development with the other agents that I'm working with. But the biggest difference is I'm also a producer. I still produce transactions. So that's the most important part. And I still have goals. I just slacked off in this past year. I mean, this is one of my slowest years if you look at all my numbers actually over the years, because you can pull that on Bright MLS. But I'm getting back into it because I love the business. This business is amazing. The most money you can make, unlimited money you can make, and people don't hone into this. And what they don't realize is what's getting in their way is themselves. So this is what we're going to talk about today, and why a coach will be very helpful, because that coach will point out to you things that you never actually get to see and understand exactly a different perspective of the way you would run your business. So when do you need a coach? You need a coach when you need motivation. You need a coach when you need ideas. You need a coach to plan your business so you have a step-by-step process that you can follow, and it's a turnkey scenario for you. You need someone to make sure that you're implementing the process. You need accountability, and you need to be able to be adaptable, be able to adjust to certain things going on in the marketplace. See, one thing is to know a particular niche. Another thing is to understand where the next niche is coming. Because the reality of it, it's not the survival of the fittest, that like the Darwin idea. What he meant by the fittest is the adaptable. It's survival of the most adaptable. So if you look at the animals that survived over centuries and centuries, it's not because they're the strongest, because the dinosaurs actually, you would consider the strongest. Why they're not here now? Because they're not able to adapt. When changes started to happen in the world, they were not able to actually survive the changes. So you have to understand, real estate is a constantly evolving, changing industry. Our industry 20 years ago, man, I'm getting old actually. Think about it. 26 years ago, just started a buyer's agency when I first came in. So I started writing, I was a gung-ho. I was like, oh my gosh, they just passed the law in 94 and it's 95. I can write offers that actually has buyer agency agreement. People received it and they're like, no, seller doesn't want buyer's agent here to buy our house. We only want seller representation. Because people didn't understand. So it took another year or 2 years before the buyer's agent's agency idea came about. That's how old I am in this business. I was using DOS and nobody was showing me the codes to actually put on DOS to actually pull properties, okay? I didn't make it to the Rolodex part because that was before me, okay? That was like in the 80s when they actually had the Rolodex. The Rolodex was a big thing where you actually pull the properties on your Rolodex and your phone numbers, and then you staple the business card of the people you meet on the Rolodex. Okay. I still have that Rolodex, as a matter of fact, but I never made it to that phase of the industry. And then you see the changes that happen when we actually going into electronic signature, electronic filing. That was actually in 05, 06. Nobody was doing DocuSign. I was doing DocuSign when it came out in 06. And I wish I knew about stock market because I would have dumped my money in that sucker because I really believed on the idea of everything's going to go electronic. I mean, I had my live drive in 05. 2005, I was filing everything electronically. And one day when I got audited with my business, I had like 24 hours to print all the contracts. All I did is had my assistant print all of it. So we're printing hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of files and then putting them in paper clips to actually for the auditor the next day to audit our work, because that's basically what auditors do. But that was actually electronic. It moved. But not until, if you notice, 5, 7, 8 years later, electronic signatures became a standard. The point I'm trying to make to you guys, a lot of things move. You have to be able to move with exactly where the business is going. And another thing I can tell you is when you're looking at your business and you're looking at marketing, back then, publication was the biggest. You have the Real Estate Move magazine, Home Buyers Journal, right, sitting on that stuff. Nowadays, who picks those up? I mean, you can see properties on your phone. Why the heck are you going to pick up a magazine for? I mean, what, so you can throw away a magazine? I mean, so the point is everything is evolving and changing. And these are some of the examples I'm giving you guys because at the end of the day, either you adapt to the changes that are happening or you'll die out of the business. So that's where your coach comes in. Your coaching. If you looking at the best athletes out there in the world, like a Michael Jordan, you think he did it by himself? Not at all. He had a coach to guide him exactly what he needed to do, but he had not the ability, but the mentality. See, all these basketball players, mind you, they have the same skills. It's the difference of how they think, how confident they are, and how they move around the court. And if you look at some of the best players, they're the biggest trash talker in the basketball court, in the field. You're looking at, I didn't even know, Larry Bird was like a really, really trash talker. I mean, a huge trash talker. But yet, he actually performed. One of the reasons why is because there's a psychology to everything that we do. And this is really where it boils down to. When you change your way of looking at the world, you change those lenses, right? You change the way you do business. And what I'm saying doing business is if you have the right coach, it'll get you to where you need to go because your mindset is in the right place. And your decisions are more precise and your decisions are better thought of. And your communications with people become more attractive, more influential. And this is basically where it boils down to. And the better you get at improving your mindset, the better you are to be able to pick up clients. And I'll give you that example later on down the line. So, where are you in the business? That's the next question we'll be asking, right? Are you starting out? Just haven't sold a lot of houses starting out? See, it's not the number of years that matter in the business, it's the number of transactions. So a person that sells like 100 houses on their first year has more experience than a person who's been in a business for 20 years that sold 10. Okay? So when people tell me, oh, I've been in business for 20 years. Okay. I'm not even interested in that. How many transactions have you done? Because to me, that's how I know whether you're new in the business or you've been doing this for a while. Because if you tell me that I've only sold like 5 houses and you've been in the business 5 years, then I know you're still new. Because selling 5 houses, literally, I actually done that in one day. I mean, I've sold 9 houses in one weekend, wrote 13 offers, and ratified 9 over the weekend in like Friday, Saturday, Sunday. By Monday, I had like 9 offers, ratified, closing, and closed. I closed at the end of the month. But the point I'm trying to make to you is, it's like, that's the difference. You see what I'm saying? Because if you really want to make a change in your life and change your lifestyle in being in this real estate business, then you need to understand that it's your mindset that's holding you back. It's your attitude. So here's the difference. My wife and I are having a conversation, and she says to me, well, Mark, everything looks okay. It's like, looks great. But it's because of this, and this is not working, right? And my response to that is, well, those are all excuses why it's not working. The bottom line is, it can work if you remove all the excuses. See, we have all the reasons why we don't succeed, but yet we dream about success. We dream about making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars and living in a nice lifestyle and everything. But then we don't actually act on it because we have all these reasons why we're not able to do it. But the reality of it is, the minute all those excuses go away, it's just a matter of time if you diligently, consistently, with passion, go after what you want in life. And once you do that, everything changes. Because nobody gets in the way. This is my number one rule. I don't wait for anyone. That's basically what I can tell you. So if I'm actually going after something and someone gets in my way, oh, can we do that tomorrow? Because I'm like, no, you can step aside. I'll continue doing what I need to do. And sometimes they call me stubborn because of that. But to me, I don't really care what people think about me, right? What I care about is if I go after something, right? If I do something I want to do I get it done? Do I get accomplished? Otherwise, don't even start. This is my other rule. If you're going to get into something, go at it 100 miles an hour. 100% of your energy should be in there. Because you put effort in terms of getting your license. You put effort in terms of spending time sitting down. And you put effort in terms of what you want to do in that business. And then you get into the business and a few disappointments happen and all of a sudden you want to quit. I mean, I had that one agent that had her first 3 transactions in the business, all of it actually fell apart, and it's nothing to do with her, right? And she was getting ready to quit. Since I'm her coach, I told her, come on, try 7. So how many times I took the broker's license because I'm not the smartest kid in the world before I passed it, okay? But I didn't give up. It's the same idea. You just keep plugging away because that's what you want. So if you want something, you go at it, and you don't wait for anyone, and you don't care what everybody else thinks, because that's what you want. That's the kind of attitude that breeds success in our business. Are you stuck? Many of the agents that I've seen out there doing it on their own have lost plenty of transactions because they get stuck in one part of the business or the other. Home inspection, that's one of the biggies. Appraisal contingencies, the other biggie. Loan commitment, another biggie. Extending settlement when loans are delayed, another biggie. See, I can tell you all day long what are the issues here because I've already sold over 1,000 houses at this point between me working with a top producing agent and myself. I mean, almost 500 in the MLS. So you can see exactly what my numbers look like. So it's not like I run into this once in a while. As a matter of fact, lenders, I even explain to them how they're going to get their loan through sometimes because they don't know enough about what the underwriters are looking for, because I've seen why my loans fail. And of course, what you learn from it is you tell your lenders, hey, listen, FHA, if you do it this way, you have a better chance of actually getting it through. That's just a suggestion. So my point is, bottlenecks in your business makes a huge difference when you have the right person helping you through along the way. One of them I ran into not too long ago. One of my mentees actually came up to me and said, hey, Mark, I got stuck on this situation where my client is buying a house, appraisal came in $4,000 less, and they don't want to drop the price $4,000 less, so my buyer won't buy the house. And I've been working on this for 2 weeks. I was like, why are you just coming up to me now? Like, 2 weeks? You didn't have to wait 2 weeks. You only have to wait like maybe a day or two and then figure out that you can't, you're stuck. And then you let me know right away so we don't kill the deal, kill the transaction. So I stepped in the picture. First thing I did, I spoke to the listing agent. And I told the listing agent, hey, listen, I understand that your client is trying to make sure that they don't lose any more money than they are. And I'm pretty sure you can probably sell this for more money. But tell me something. What's most important to your client right now? And his response was, well, if we could delay the settlement, it will be better for my client. I was like, okay. I tell you what. I actually not delay the settlement. I'll be able to stay in the property longer, like a post-occupancy agreement. I was like, I tell you what, let me talk to the buyer and let me see what I could do to try to get that. So called my mentee and said, talk to your buyer and find out if they're willing to actually do this stuff. See, what you do before you do anything else, find out what the other party needs. See, at the end of the day, don't be asking somebody for something when you never gave anything to begin with. So you got to reach out and put an olive branch out there and like, hey, what do you guys want? What do you guys need? So I figured that out, right? So I talked to the buyers, the mentee, and I told mentee, hey, talk to your buyer, ask them if they could do this. Buyer says, well, yeah, they may be able to do that. It's not an issue, but we still have a problem with the appraisal thing. I mean, they want to actually at least have the client, pay something because it's not even appraising at the value, especially in this marketplace. I mean, people are just, I'm removing appraisal contingencies. That's the only way you can get the house sometimes. It's crazy. Came back to the listing agent. I said, listing agent, I tell you what, this client that we're working with doesn't have a lot of money, and that's the reason why they're asking for the lower price, because they can't come up with the $4,000 to go to settlement, because they're already coming up with this amount, for down payment and closing and stuff. So I don't know what your clients can do, but can you work with me on trying to get this thing lowered to the certain amount? If you notice something, I ask with humility. Remember I was telling you, it's the attitude you come in with, right? I didn't come in there like barging in like, hey, I need you to drop this, blah, 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 blah. Like some people think that by being adversarial, you get what you want. No. Believe me, I got free shots last night just from being nice. And I picked up a client at the bar. I mean, you can't get any better than that. I mean, I was having a nice date with my wife, and there was this lady actually across the bar, and I thought, like, where are you from? Just strike up a conversation. My wife went to the bathroom, and she's like, oh, I'm from Dominican Republic. I was like, oh, great, I've been there. We started talking this Dominican Republic gig. I was like, oh, man, we were loving it. We're having a great time. Wife comes back. She's like, yeah, I have 2 kids, and da-da-da-da. So we went through the whole conversation. At the very end, I was like, so you living in this area right now? Do you own a place? She's like, no, I don't own a place. I'm like, are you kidding me? Do you remember how much the rent was 20 years ago or 15 years ago when you were renting? And she's like, I know, it more than doubled by now. I'm like, yeah. Can you imagine if you had bought then? You would still be paying the same amount for the next 30 years. Why don't you fix your monthly payment so you don't have to actually pay any more money on rents later on down the line, so you have control of your finances? And the lady's like, I know. And you know what the worst part about it is? I have a VA. I'm actually a veteran, and I actually can get a VA loan. But I had this bankruptcy. I was like, bankruptcy? Come on. Don't worry about the bankruptcy. We can figure all that out. How long ago? It was 3 years ago. I'm like, oh, my gosh. By now, you could have bought a house because you know what? It only takes 2 years, and you could have buy a house already. And also, if you put it, if you properly work on your credit, which, my wife and I can actually work with you on that and help you out with those things, everything will be okay. Do you have a card? No. Unfortunately not, but let me text you my number, so make sure that you have my number, okay? So we text each other the number. By the way, I do have business cards, but I didn't have the cards. Because the minute I give that card, I'll never get that phone number. Remember, you want to be in control, right? Hence, I'm a coach. That's the reason why I'm a coach, because I teach people not to give away the farm. Look, if you have no control of the communication, and I was just sitting at the bar, I swear to you, and then the lady that was actually serving, I was so nice to her, she was serving, oh my gosh, you know what, I love this place, next thing you know, she's come back around, she's like, oh, I have this thing called Tampa Fe. face, my name. Tampa is where I found this drink, and I made it up myself. Here, have a shot on me, free. Like, really? I was like, thank you so much. So I'm telling you, just being kind, being nice goes a long, long ways. And believe me, it's so funny because people don't realize this is a mindset thing. This is not something that you learn from real estate school. You don't learn this from anybody telling you. They're actually all business. Oh, you're going to need to do this. You're going to need to call this, and you're going to have to actually mail out this and say it this way and that way. No. Just keep it simple, guys. Anywhere you walk, you should be a walking billboard. And all your advocates, the people that know you, should be walking billboards. Can you imagine if you have 150 people? Apparently, there's a study on this, that most people will know at least 100 people. The most you can know in your lifetime, that you will remember them and they remember you, and you can reconnect and everything, about 150. Because when you go further than that, you start forgetting people. So looking at it from that, right? Imagine if you had 150 people, there's also a statistic that every person will know 3 people will be buying or selling a house in a year. If you know 150 people, that's 450 leads that you can potentially tap into. Let's say you only get half of that, right? 225. You think that's enough to actually sell at least 100 houses? Absolutely. Because that's my business model. My business model runs on grassroots marketing. When I'm talking about grassroots marketing, is I know you, you know me, and you'll be in touch with me. I'll be in touch with you from now on moving forward. You will get a text message from me saying how you're doing. You get a text message from me inviting you to an event. You get a text message from me, Merry Christmas, holiday, happy birthday. Because all of that, guess what? Is automated. Automated. Then the reason why I automate it is because I want to maximize my time. So at one text when I send out, it's 536 go out there. And these are the kind of things that you would learn that you never saw from any angle that you actually look at. Because I'm one of those crazies. It's like, I used to joke around when I was with Remax, like, Remax stalkers. Like, once you know me, you'll never forget me. And that's the whole idea. You don't want to be forgotten, okay? So, are you growing uncontrollably? When I say, do you have controls of how your growth works? See, there's 2 things. You can grow and then you can crash. You grow and you crash. You grow and you crash. And that's what we call the roller coaster ride of real estate. And you go like this. Woo, roller coaster ride. Sometimes you have income, sometimes you got nothing, and then your bills still keep coming like this. They're not like a roller coaster. See, I hope your bills follow your income, right? Wouldn't that be great? Then it's like, oh, I don't have income this month. Oh, you don't have to pay, man. No, don't worry about paying today. It's okay, pay next month. I mean, but it doesn't. It doesn't follow your bills. So how do you make your business consistent? Well, this is the kind of things that your coach is supposed to show you. That prospecting has to be a daily basis. If you want to get clients on a regular basis, then you got to do activities on a regular basis. You don't stop and expect clients to keep coming in. It doesn't work like that. You have to constantly have a plan, and your prospecting appointment should be like a showing a house appointment. Because I've seen people say, oh, I'm showing too many houses, I forget for prospecting for now. I'm like, okay, all right, forget about it. 3 months from now, watch your bills actually not get paid because you don't have any income actually 3 months from now when you're not doing it now, whatever the activities you're supposed to be doing. See, we are the best at inconsistency. That's why we're human beings. See, as a human being, you will be inconsistent. Guaranteed. Only machines and robots or AIs are actually more consistent than human beings. Human beings are designed to be inconsistent. But we have what we call intelligence, right? We don't go by emotions. See, the biggest problem people don't realize is business doesn't work like, oh, I don't feel like working today. Will your boss keep you after like 1 week of you telling them, hey, I didn't feel like coming in last week, but I was a little depressed. Man, you never even told us. We didn't even know where you were. You're fired. That's what they would tell you, right? Well, guess what you do each and every day you don't get up and actually wanting to do the work? You're firing yourself. That's what you're doing. Every day, you say to yourself, I don't feel like going to work today. I'm going to go to work at noon. Man, you're getting yourself fired every day and you don't even realize it, because either you're working and making a lot of money in this business or you're unemployed. That's the reality of it. When you're getting up at noon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, or actually not working all day, or actually goofing off, actually, watching Facebook or social media, you've been unemployed. You didn't even realize it. That's the only difference. Right? So, are you losing business relationships? Oh, this is a big thing. People don't realize that you never cut off anybody in your business. Never cut off anybody in your business, even the people that you hate sometimes. Why? Because those are the same people that later on down the line regret to actually have done something to you. And then they come back around. It's like your lost children, If you ever had lost children, they come back around apparently. I'm waiting for mine to come back around. but they do come back around eventually. Yeah, they come back around. So that's like your clients, your lost clients, They do come back around sometimes, and they come back. When they come back strong. They're like, oh my gosh, Mark, you know what? We definitely miss you, and we don't want to miss you again because we got messed up by the last agent we were working with, and I know you're an honest agent, so I'm going to stick around with you this time around. And they do. And actually, as a matter of fact, some of them actually buy multiple properties, or I get to manage their property, or they get to rent their house out. I mean, they get me to do anything out there in the real estate, because that's basically what I've done. I've actually mastered multiple revenue streams, which I actually talked about last week. This time, we're talking about why is a coach that important? Well, because my coach taught me the discipline of being consistent at the activities that bring in production. That's what this guy taught me. And after that, everything else is easy. When I say everything else is easy, your contracts, your offers, your listings, your headaches, your blah, blah, blah. If you're able to manage the incoming part of the business where business is coming to you, everything else is easy. Why? Because you're not like laser focused on one client, because you only have one client to pay that bill, and like, oh my gosh, if I don't close this client, I'm not going to be able to pay this bill. So, wait, client bill. Oh my gosh, he's asking me money. What do I do? I can't lose this client, so I'm going to give away the farm because I need some money. Okay, well, maybe I have just enough to actually pay my mortgage this month. So, yes, I will agree to actually half of my commission just because I can. Nah, I'm sorry. It doesn't work very well. The reason why it doesn't work very well is because you don't have enough clients. The client is not the problem. The client can read right through your head and looking at him like, oh my gosh, this guy, I could actually bulldoze over this person because this person has no clue what he's doing, and he's only sold one house, and I'm it. He has nobody else in this world except me. So I'll get as much as I can out of this. Human nature, right? Human nature. That's what people do. But if you have a lot of clients you're working with, right? It's like flying from 100 feet and looking at the ground, and all you're seeing is the ground. There's nothing there, or the people are huge, and they're going so fast. They're like big problems, you're looking at big problems rather than flying 10,000 feet. If you have like 10, 15, 20, 30 clients that you're working with, you're already flying. Why? Because when there's one problem with one, you're not so attached to it. It's like dating. My wife actually told me this one day. She learned that you have to have 3 dates so that you don't get attached. That's what she would say. Well, you have to have at least 3 clients so you don't get attached. How about that? So, the idea there is you have to have multiple clients so you're not attached to one and you're like catering this person and putting this person in a pedestal and anything they do goes kind of thing. No, as a professional, when you have other clients you're working with, and by the way, that's another mistake most rookies make. All of a sudden they get a lot of clients and they tell their clients, excuse me, I got a lot of clients, okay? I'm too busy for you right now. And the clients don't feel like, oh my gosh, yeah, you're too busy for me. Well, you know what? There's one every 4 doors of a house. I just knock, and one of them are going to be a real estate agent, and I'm pretty sure they want my business. That's how many agents there are out there. So the point I'm trying to make to you is you want to make your client special, but you also want to make sure the client understands that you're a professional, that you will give them an honest, straightforward answer when they need it, okay? And when they ask you to lower your commission, you give them a standard, straightforward answer, no. That's it. Very, very simple. But it makes it difficult when you actually have one client. Because what if the client goes away? I don't have anything. Something is better than nothing. You start thinking in yourself. And next thing you know, when the next person actually they refer, they're asking for that same discount. And then the next person, same discount. All of a sudden, you're not growing a big tree. You're growing a half a tree, like a midget. I mean, it keeps getting, it keeps getting shaved off on the top each time. And next thing you know, you don't have anything, right? You can't survive like this. You have to have a standard that you're working with. And the standard is activities equal production over time. This is the formula of real estate. If you don't know this by now, know it. Because next 3 months, whatever you're doing right now, is you're going to feel it 3 months from now. You don't feel it right now. Because this is a build-up, build-out process. Once you start actually turning the wheel and start putting the same input, eventually the wheel just spins. And it spins faster and faster and faster. Right? So, and losing business relationship is not something that we want as much as possible. There's some clients there, if you don't like them, refer them to an agent you don't like as well. Then the agent that you don't like might actually get to like you. You see? And then the client that you don't like them to begin with is no longer your problem. You see what I'm saying? And you make money. Wow, this is like a win-win-win situation. You understand? Win-win? No, this is win-win-win. So the reality of it, you're not going to get along with everybody. But I'm sure the more you improve yourself in terms of personal development, like you showing up to this stuff, the better you become as a person. And the better you become as a person, the easier you are with people. See, I don't know if you ever met some people that actually like drain your energy. It's like, so the minute that you see them like in the hallway, like, hey, and you have to go the other way because like, oh my gosh, I don't want to get drained, I really love my energy. I'm so excited. But then when you start talking to this person starts telling you all their problems. And then next thing you know, you're like almost in tears, crying and depressed. And you feel like, oh my gosh, let me take the rest of the day off. I mean, you don't need this kind of people, right? But sometimes you come across those people as a client. And you still have to deal with them, right? It's okay. But if you've learned how to deal with people that are like that, see, there's the difference, right? I had a client one time that showed up at my office. The agent who was doing the front desk for me and the loan officer who was doing the loan, both of them quit because of this one client. And it's true story because they couldn't figure out. I mean, the guy, one of them was calling the person racist. The other person actually was calling him those nasty A word, because he was just nasty, right? But when he started talking to me like that, though, there's a big difference, right? I knew exactly how he is and how he interacts. So I looked at him like a 7-year-old child who's been neglected all his life, right? And started looking at him like, okay, and then I start talking to him like a 7-year-old child. Like when he says something I don't like, hey, I don't like that. Don't say that again. Like a father would to a child, right? The minute I start talking to him like this, our relationship to this day is like a father and a son. I'm telling you. The guy bought a $1.3 million house with me. The guy actually, every time he does something in his house, he calls me, hey, Mark, what do you think? You think I should do this or should I not do this? Should I fix this? Asking my opinion to this day, sending me pictures like, oh, look, this is what I did. Dad, no, he didn't say dad, but he might as well have said dad because that's exactly how our interaction is. So I've learned that there are people out there, there's four type archetypes of men. And I've read that book several times. Actually, I do more audiobook than reading. And what I got out of that is that if you understand where that particular person is coming from, you know exactly how to speak to them. And that in turn, in that communication that you do with them, gives you an edge because you position yourself to be the authority. See, if your client is the authority in real estate, you'll never sell them a house because you are being looked at as a commodity. And if a person looks at you as a commodity and they still, after you actually talk to them a certain way, they still look at you as a commodity, you're wasting your time. I mean, I had to actually literally, not tell off a client the other day, but I literally actually had to tell him that I'm not desperate for your business. But I thought we had a close friendship, and I guess our friendship is worth just the interest rate you're going after. Straightforward. Why? Because I know in the next 2 months that guy's not going to be able to get a house. Because he's looking for something that's not realistic, and he treats people like the way he does. People are not going to stand for it, and eventually he's not going to get what he wants. He's going to rent somewhere for the next 6 months, a year, and probably with the way I spoke to him and the way I considered him as a friend and put it in that context, and the way he's coming back like a lost child, you know, like lost son and daughter, you know, coming back around. That's basically what it is. But understanding the psychology makes a huge difference. So I do my own personal development constantly, even to this day. There's so many books out there about how to be a better person. And that's what I'm going after. I'm going after how to be a better person. Why? Because we don't sell houses. We sell ourselves. We go in between the sales transactions of people. I got up yesterday morning, and I was just telling the story. I got up yesterday morning, I got a call from a friend who actually happened to text message and say, hey, you're invited to my daughter's birthday party kind of thing, you know? 536 messages. He calls me up. He's like, hey, Mark, thank you for inviting me to your daughter's birthday party. I was like, yeah, of course. Come on, man. I mean, you're like my brother here, you know? Like 7:30 in the morning. Hey, I tell you what. I got a friend of mine who's looking to buy a house in Bethesda at $1.something million. And the only thing that I need from you is to be able to write this in the next 2 hours. You think you might be able to do that? Sure, no problem. Let me go ahead and work on it. Text my sister, hey, we got a client. Start working on this thing so I can review it and send it, DocuSign it. Yeah, and this morning it ratified. Point I'm trying to make to you is that's from a relationship. That's from a text message that said, hey, I'm still here. I'm still thinking about you to this day, which I am because I included him on the list. Okay. And thirdly, it's the systems and processes I had set up. See, if I didn't have that system and processes, I'm just getting up at 7:30 in the morning. I'll be doing it myself, right? I can't be doing it myself. I still have to take care of my kids before, take them to school and everything. So by 9:30, 10 o'clock, I have everything in front of me, reviewing everything, making corrections, send it to the client, and present it to the offer and calling the agent. That's my job. My job is to make sure that things get done. Doesn't matter who does it. As long as I reviewed it, as long as I'm responsible, as long as my name is on that thing, I will make sure I review it and make sure it's good, right? So certain things you can delegate, like administrative. Certain things you cannot, which is negotiations, making sure the contract is correct because your name is on the line, right? Certain things you can. But the point I'm trying to make to you is the more efficient you get with your time, the more money you make in this business because we all have 24 hours in a day, right? So if you can truncate your amount of time dealing with certain things, then you have more time for yourself to be able to do the things you want to do. So, is personal life getting in the way of your business? This is a lot. This is like a lot of people run into this. Put it this way. I had to actually get my personal life in the way of my business when I was going through my divorce because I didn't want to actually work for my ex-wife for the rest of my life. Be a personal slave there, So, yes, personal life can get in the way of your business life. But the question is, are you doing that on purpose? Or are you wanting to make those changes? A coach can help you with that. Because the coach can point out what is personal and what is not. Because sometimes we can delineate. We're thinking, checking emails, oh, this is business. But 90% on your email are all personal if you think about it. And actually, more than half of them are junk to begin with, right? So there's the 4 quadrants that Stephen Covey actually brought up on the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. You got the important, the quadrant 1, important, urgent, right? It became urgent because it was important and you neglected it. The second quadrant is not urgent, but important. Those are the ones that need to be dealt with so it doesn't become urgent. And there's a quadrant 3 that's actually urgent but not important. And the quadrant 4 is not urgent and not important. Our focus should lie on quadrant 2, so we have less quadrant 1s. Quadrant 1s is what's happening because we are reacting to things. When we become proactive and we want to actually do something about it and we want to make things happen for ourselves, right? You plan it. Then you execute your plan. And then everything else surrounds your plan to make things happen. And that's where you see success. Before that, everything is a reaction. Someone calls you, you react. Someone, want to meet with you, you react. Somebody actually hates you, you react. Everything is a reaction, right? But if everything is planned a lot more ahead of time, right? You have less urgent and important things that need to be dealt with. This is the difference between paying bills that are actually last minute and paying bills because you have an organized way of paying it, that you have planned it to make sure that you have enough budget on a monthly basis that you set aside to make sure that the bills get paid. See, that's the problem most people have. The reason why bills become urgent and important because they think they don't have the money for it. But in reality, they took a Disney vacation last month. They didn't put that in the planning process of the budget. and Mickey Mouse was the one who got their money, right? So now they actually have an urgent and important bill that they need to pay. They can't pay it because what? They bought a sports car. That's why instead. Or, they bought a second van when the one van is perfectly fine and just get a beat up car that doesn't have a monthly car payment, right? This is what I've learned over the years. I made so much money, but I've lost more money than I ever made. And a lot of agents run into the same problem. As a matter of fact, there's an observation that one of my friends came up to. He's like, I go to people's houses all the time, and I see real estate agents. They got big houses, but you can see how much stress they have in their lives because there's so much bills coming in because they thought they're going to be making the kind of money the whole time, and it doesn't happen that way, right? So that's the problem. Are you distracted with tasks unrelated to business? This is like I said, like the emails that never needed to be checked to begin with, that kind of thing. Now we go to motivation. 80% of your answers to your issues and problems that you're running into is motivation. The excuses come out of lack of motivation. Think about it. You don't feel like getting up in the morning. You're not motivated. And then you pretend to be sick. That was the other part. I mean, I'm pretty sure we've run into that at some point in our lives that we're like, okay, what? Let me be sick today. So, yeah, your motivation is basically drives everything around you. If you're depressed, good luck. It's hard. It's a much harder task to actually stay motivated unless you learn how to compartmentalize your emotion, which means you put your game face on. You've heard of that before, right? Put your game face on. When you're actually, when you're actually there, you're like lit up because you are not thinking about anything else but the focus of actually being able to do the things you want to do or you need to do or you have to do, right? Motivation. That's 80%. That's the really like most, that Pareto principle, 80-20. 80% of your success come from this motivation part, if you're motivated to do it. So that's where your coach come in. Why you need a coach is because that coach can maintain motivation for you on a regular basis. See, the way I look at it, motivation is like food. You don't stay motivated, or you don't put in motivation, like listening to like motivational speeches by famous people, some of them, or like experts in their field kind of scenario. I listen to that YouTube videos all the time when I'm feeling like I'm getting distracted. Let me just spend 5-10 minutes getting myself motivated. Start listening to someone about what it takes to be successful, or hard work. What is hard work is all about? What is discipline all about? So I listen to these because I'm eating. See, like I'll give you an analogy. It's like if I'm listening to I listened to Denzel Washington, actually, speaking about his career and how he started, actually, and how this one lady from the barbershop said that you're going to go travel around the world, but he never expected that he would be in this manner, and he would be speaking to millions of people. That's what this person was saying. So he started talking about this. So motivating, right? This is the way I look at it. It's like eating steak. Man, that's my steak. Because what I just did is I actually listened to somebody's life, and I said to myself, hey, I can somewhat relate to where he comes from. He came from a poor background, and he actually, pulled himself off the bootstrap, or whatever they call that, and make it through, right? And then you have other like people like Oprah Winfrey. Actually, I know her story, right? So you listen to these people that kind of started a certain way and actually got to where they need to go. They're like my coaches in that sense. See, when I'm talking about coaching, I'm not just talking about having a coach. I'm talking about having a way of being able to be coached, right? So that's my lobster. See, let's say Oprah Winfrey is my lobster, right? And then we have like desserts, right? We have like, certain people like Matthew McConaughey. I was listening to him actually one time about how he looks at the world, right? Many people I've actually listened to. Actually, there's this one Marines person who actually was overweight and lost his weight and got into the Marines. He was actually bullied in school and everything, and he's a very famous motivational speaker. I can't remember his name right now, but he's all over YouTube, and I watch him, right? I watch it because I watch him talk about discipline and self-sacrifice, right? And how you can get to where you need to go. Right? So this is what it's all about. The motivation actually plays a big part of our success in our business. So then we talk about ideas. Your coach can help you generate your ideas of where you want your business to go, how you want your business to grow, and where you want it to be. At the end of the day, right, you can only come up with so much ideas. You need other perspective. So even on my Saturday morning at 7 to 9 a.m., I have like 10, 11 agents there. All of them are actually putting their inputs on what could be better. Someone chimes in on something on the other person actually. So that's why I have group sessions and I have one-on-ones. The group session allows for that interaction to actually generate ideas for people to actually do better. So the ideas makes a huge difference. Slide. Thanks. So ideas makes a big difference. When you have ideas from other people, coming from other people, it gives you a different perspective, and then you can actually like move forward any bottlenecks that you run into in your business. Then the next one is planning. A lot of the times, and most of us, we get into this business without a business plan. It's like going into a ship without a rudder, no direction. Putting out your sail that doesn't actually move, so you don't know what direction you're going. And you don't have a destination. All this is in the planning process. And if someone can better guide you through that process is a coach. Having a coach, having a mentor to actually show you exactly step by step what you need to do at what particular time and what time you're actually going to be. So then you have personal life and you have business life, and they're kind of separated in that sense. Because if you lose the separation, that's where divorce happens. And there's a huge amount of divorce in our business because of that reason. Because the other person doesn't feel like they're important anymore because the other person is a successful agent and all they're focusing on is on clients. They forgot about their kids, they forgot about their wife, they forgot about everything, right? Or their husband or whatever. And the neglect actually kind of builds up. And the coach job is to make sure that that is part of the plan, to make sure that you have time for your family. You have time for yourself. You have time for your spiritual self, right? Not just the emotional self. So all these things need to be balanced because remember again, the product is you. It's not a house, it's you. So if you're not balanced and you're depressed, try talking to a client and convince them to buy a house with you when you're depressed, okay? What do you think of this house? No, come on, really? You know, that roof, I had an experience in that roof like that before. You know, it's so sad. You know, I'm still dealing with it right now. It's leaking. Try to sell that house. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like, it's hard to really be around depressed people. I mean, believe me, sometimes I even tell people, like, hey, you know what? It's time to get a therapist. You know, I got this one good therapist that you can talk to. I mean, changed my life. I mean, it could change yours, you know? Be the resource to those people, you know? If that makes sense, right? So planning requires several things. One, it requires for you to have a schedule. Just like at work. If you've ever been employed, you have to be at work at a certain time and end at a certain time. Do you agree? Okay. Why not your business? Why can't you be at work at a certain time and end your day at a certain time? Why not? Because we're unemployed when we come in here. We don't think planning. We don't plan these things, right? Plan it out. 2 hours of prospecting is what my prescription, man. I'm the real estate doctor here. I'm prescribing 2 hours of prospecting every single day and exclude the weekend so you have personal life, right? But if you just did that, and I swear to you, if you did it consistently, your business is going to triple from where you are right now. Because more than 50%, 60, even 80% of the agents don't even do that. The successful agents does. 80% of the successful agents, they all prospect, I guarantee you. The 20% got lucky. I mean, there's always part of it is luck, you know. You meet the right person, and like this one person I was telling you, like, oh, I sold 8 houses. Actually, as a matter of fact, last year I went to a conference, and 2 years ago, actually, before the COVID, I met this Filipino guy, and we hung out, and he was like, man, he was receiving the same award as me, like $500,000 or, you know, or $250,000 like trophy or whatever, right? And he's like, yeah, you know, man, I was so lucky. I sold 2 lots in the Philippines, and actually I made over $250,000, and that's how I'm getting this award. And I looked at him and was like, really? Man, you know how many houses I had to sell to actually get there? And I was like, what's your goal next year? It's like, oh, my goal next year? My goal is to sell 1 and make the same amount of money. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, are you serious right now? You know, but some people actually just, you know, and if you see his roster of people on his Instagram or, like, you know, Facebook or all his friends, I mean, they're like famous actors and actresses. I mean, he gets to hire. They even have their own little page of like all the famous people. Actually, he's actually part of it. You know, he's just doing this as a hobby, I guess. But that's the crazy thing, right? People just get lucky. Some people are just lucky, right? But I don't think all of us are lucky like that, right? So what we got to do is we create our own luck. We create our own path to actually becoming successful. And the planning of your schedule is very important. But the writing down is your blueprint. If you see that picture, that's your blueprint. Your blueprint is your business plan. Because a house doesn't get built without a blueprint. Otherwise, it can be built, but it's questionable whether or not it's correctly built because everything requires calculation, weight calculation, distance calculation, how much post and how much footings you need, that kind of thing. All that thing requires calculation. So if you're guessing this way through or you have experience and you just do it like the way we do real estate, yeah, okay. You're going to have a shack, and the minute that the next rain comes around, your whole house is being washed away with it, right? And that's the same thing in real estate. You don't have a business plan, you don't have a business. What you have is a dream and luck. maybe the wind blows the right way, right? I mean, sometimes that happens. But it doesn't always happen. And that's the point I'm trying to make. If it doesn't always happen, then we should follow a business plan. That's where your coach come in and set that up. And whoever's coaching you, that's what they should be doing. They should be setting you up on a path of success to a business plan. And then the third part, you see little gears there, right? Little cogs of wheel, right? That is a representation of what it takes for a machine to work. Our business has a lot of cogs. Each of those cogs, each of those things that you see there is a representation of a home inspector, an assistant, a title person, a lender, a pest inspector, an appraiser. I mean, all these, the other agent that you have to deal with, all those things are cogs. And all those things has to work in order for you to get a transaction to close. Right? Having a coach can make sure all those cogs are oiled properly to make sure that the machine runs. And what people don't realize, oh, this one cog, I can just miss this, you know. Let me just not do the inspection for this client, and I'll walk through the whole, all hell broke loose, basically, because the inspector was not dealt with at the time it needed to be done. You can't request anything from the seller in some cases, and then you go to walk through, the place is a mess, and the seller, the buyer walks away. And all that work you just did went kaput, went bye-bye. Yeah. And people don't realize why we get paid what we get paid. By the way, guys, we get paid what we get paid because for all the times we don't get paid. That's the reason why we get paid what we get paid. So when a client tells me like, oh my gosh, I see your commission here is so big. I'm like, oh my gosh, can you imagine how much time I spent with clients that never paid me anything? It's like a lot of hours, I can tell you. I've shown hundreds and hundreds of houses that I never got paid for. Oh man, I'm so lucky I actually got a portion of that back. Great. Now I can feed my family. So the next part of this thing is called implementation. Implementation is beginning with an end in mind. That's, again, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey. If you guys read that book, I'm telling you that there's so much nuggets in that book that some of these things I actually have to quote it back because, you know, I'll be plagiarizing half of my seminar because I tell you, I use it a lot. I've read that book at least 15 times by now because I internalize that certain things there that makes a huge difference. See, our lives, if it's built on principles, is built on a solid rock. If it's not built on principle, it's built on sand. Because each moment that your boundaries get tested, you don't know how to react. And the inconsistency of that creates a problem with your business because your relationships cannot survive if you're not predictable. Have you ever had people around you or an ex-girlfriend or an ex-wife that looks really crazy? The reason why they look really crazy is because you don't know which plate is going to be tossed at you sometimes. Because it became unpredictable to the point where, you know, you're hurting me, and you're like 10 feet away from that person, right? The point I'm trying to make to you is unpredictability is something we're naturally against. We're naturally against things that are not predictable. Otherwise, everybody will be playing stocks. Everybody will be in casinos. Everyone, I'm talking about everyone, not just the people that are going broke, because a lot of them are going broke playing in the casino thinking they're going to win, right? Some win big. They actually end up losing big. That's why the casinos just keeps getting bigger because they're getting more money each time. It's like a sucker's born every day, you know? So the point I'm trying to make to you is, predictability is what brings closeness to you with people around you. And that closeness can be turned into clients because they would want to refer you because they know how you work. The reason why I picked up $1 million client yesterday morning, waking up in the morning, because that person I've worked with 4 times already. And each time he calls me, I come through. I'm able to close the transaction. He knows exactly what's going to happen. He knows he's being communicated with. Things happen a certain way. No issues whatsoever. He knows exactly how I work. So when a person came up to him and said, hey, listen, I have a, why are you going in buying a house without a buyer's agent? Talk to Mark. This is my guy. And then he actually introduced us by text. And that's how we got the client. Predictability. But implementation, beginning with an end in mind. Anything you start, you have to understand, you have to envision the finish. Because if you can't envision the finish, don't start. But when you plan something, you better darn implement it, because otherwise that's just a dream on paper. That's exactly what you got. It only becomes real when it's actually implemented, when you take action, consistent action. Not when you're in a mood or you're not in a mood, because people actually sometimes think, I'm not in a mood today to make prospecting. Go, well, you know what, the check that you're going to get on the next commission is not in the mood to actually be cashed. So, sorry, you're not going to get anything after 3 months. That's essentially what you're saying to me, right? I mean, oh, it's because I had a headache this morning. Oh, my gosh. You know what? I was practically actually like dying, and I was still making it to my meetings, because even though it's not my commitment, those people that are actually coaching with me and mentoring with me, it's their commitment. And if they're going to show up, unless I'm in the hospital bed dying, I will be there. Okay? Because it's Zoom, for crying out loud. You don't have to drive. You don't have to go show up somewhere. I mean, literally, you just turn on your phone. Hello! And you don't even have to show your face on the phone. Hello there. My face is ugly today. I'm not in a good mood, but hey, I'm here. I mean, it got so easy. I never saw it so easy in my life. So the next thing we're going to talk about is accountability. Accountability. If you notice something, the first picture has that little magnifying glass, okay? Accountability is to do things even when nobody's looking. Because it's not about others that matter. It's about you. It's about your accountability to yourself. It's not to show off what you've done or what you're about to do. It's about you doing it without no one even knowing it. And it's about what we think, why people actually are successful sometimes. Like when we look at like Manny Pacquiao, he's from the Philippines, from my country, right? He did so well in boxing. I think it's time for him to retire now, I think he's in his retirement age. Getting too old. But the point I'm trying to make to you, if you look at him and you look at his career, all we see is the spotlight when he's actually fighting. But what you don't see is the sacrifice of the daily routine. That's boring, that's not exciting, the running how many miles, the boxing, like sparring, the whatever, push-ups and sit-ups and all these other mundane things that he has to do every single day to get to that one day of spotlight. Well, our one day of spotlight, guess what it is? It's settlement. That's right. Yes. And when we're collecting that check or they're wiring your funds to your account, that's your spotlight. That's why people don't see why we get paid what we get paid, because they don't see the background of it, right? All the hard work, unless you sell one a year, I mean, you're not really doing much. Yes, if somebody looks at your check and it's like $20,000, like, what the heck did you do? I mean, I've never seen you work in my life, and then you got this 15 grand, that's a lot of money. But what people don't see is the consistency that it takes, the rejections that you get when you make phone calls sometimes. The people say, don't ever call me again. I'm not selling my house forever, not with you or anyone. I mean, all the rejections that you're going to get in this business. All the, no, you know what, I got a friend that's actually selling me the house, You're not a good friend. But no, you're a friend, but you're a friend here, this little. And this friend here is this big. So that's why, and you're sitting there kind of like, okay, I have to put up with this. But the point is, all those moments where it's difficult, when you actually go to work, start making phone calls, and you're getting distracted, and then you actually have to shut the door for 2-3 hours, and you actually just plug away, and sometimes it's not fun. Dealing with problems with your clients, running into issues they're in the middle of purchasing a house and all of a sudden they're getting divorced. And then now you have to become a freaking marriage counselor because you got to mend that marriage before they actually go to closing at least. So at least they buy a house. And then let's get divorced after that. So we can sell the house next month. My point is, no, it's kind of cold though. You don't do that, okay? But the point I'm trying to make to you is, okay? The point I'm trying to make to you is accountability. It's being at close up on the fire and not walking away from it. I had clients that run into issues and issues and issues. 4 months later, finally, we were able to sell them a house. A year and a half later, the longest one was actually 4 years. Took me 4 years working with them, and then they finally bought a house. Being there on the most critical moments of where your client needs you will generate a lot of transactions. Accountability, guys. Being able to hold yourself accountable. Sometimes we make mistakes. I mean, the third picture, as you may notice, somebody probably made a mistake and burned the whole forest. Yeah, that's my third picture. And the idea behind that is, right, it's okay to make mistakes, but make sure you can control what mistakes you make. You see? Because at the end of the day, the number one thing is if you make a mistake, to me, is to acknowledge that that was your mistake. All the defense mechanism goes down. All the arguing goes down. It makes it a much simpler and better situation for your clients if they know that you're accountable for your own actions. So the last one is adjustments. Adjustments are what I call being able to adapt. So adjustments is like the next slide that I'm actually going to put on. Give me 1 second here. So adjustments. See, the market's going to go up and down. The only question is, will your business go up and down with it, or would you want a consistent climb? And if you want a consistent climb, then know what's going on the next side, on the other side, before it gets there. Plan everything out. Make adjustments to the things that's not working. I usually give 6 months before I actually have to change my marketing if my marketing is not producing any transactions for me. Bottom line is, my measurement of my marketing is not how good I look on the picture, okay? It's how much clients I get out of it, or leads get out of it. If I'm not getting any clients or leads out of it, it's cut off. I don't need it. Because my primary source of clientele is me. Is being able to reach out to as many people as I can and being able to actually kind of get them in to working with me on something. Just like that lady at the bar yesterday, right? She was not even thinking about buying a house. But then I started kind of poking and probing, and I started telling her, like, how much were you paying 20 years ago? It just made her, like, lit up. And she's like, but I need to work on my credit. And then she showed me Credit Karma. She's on, like, 637 already. I'm like, I can buy a house. But you know what? Let's talk about it and let's figure out exactly how we can plan it properly. We should probably still need to save up money, right? It's probably another year. It's okay. I can wait. I'm not going out of business anytime soon, right? But I got a client out of it, right? So now I have another wave to actually reach out to her. I'm going to put her on my, people that I invite, that I greet, find out when her birthday is, when she, when we start working together somehow or another. And then I put it on my database where my email, my text message will automatically text her happy birthday on her birthday. Personalized. What a coach can do for you. What a coach can do for you. When you're new in this business, that coach can help you in your mindset. Put your mind in the right frame, exactly how you could actually make it through the business. Keep you motivated, keep you excited. When you're a rookie, when I say rookie, you sell probably 5, 10 houses or 15 houses, or even not even houses, whatever, in our business. That coach can help you tackle issues and bottlenecks in your processes. Because if you get to that point already, right, what you need our processes to streamline it to get you to the next step, the next level. Once you've actually streamlined everything and everything is in a process. And process means basically when things go wrong, it's notated so it doesn't happen again. Because that's the definition of insanity, doing things the same way and expect different results. It's not going to happen. Growth doesn't happen that way, right? And as a professional, your coach can help you achieve mastery of our business. When I say mastery is you're a source for everybody when it comes to real estate because you know your stuff so well that you don't have to source anybody but yourself. And from there, when you're top producer, biggest issues top producing agents have is to change your lifestyle and maintain your insanity. See, change your lifestyle is what I'm saying that is to tone it down. A lot of agents that produce a lot of transaction, they never made that kind of money like me when I first started and I started making hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Shoot, I was like, oh my gosh, I could buy a boat. I could buy 3 houses. I could do. You know, you overextend yourself. It's to actually keep it more low profile so you retain more of the money and the money will make money for you. This is something that I wish I had a coach that taught me that part because today I would be a millionaire if I did. But having learned that, it helps me actually teach everybody else to be able to be more careful on that. And maintain sanity. Because when you get too busy, you forget where you come from. You forget your family. You forget your friends. You forget your parents. I mean, you know, it's just you're too busy. So you need to actually create a way for you to free up time so you can actually spend time with what's important in your life. And then when you become a team leader, it's how to leverage your time to maximize your ability to profit. I know team leaders out there, even my former boss was telling me, Mark, you make more than me. Because I pay everybody, at the end of the day, I only make a certain amount of money. And the reason why is he's never really understood the ability to be able to actually really streamline and manage your waste in your accounting part of your business. See, your business is only as good as how well your accounting is. If you account for your money properly, then you can streamline it and make it even more profitable. So finally, last slide, or second to the last slide, coaching. To achieve results, work on yourself. To achieve greatness, learn from others who know more than you. That's my quote. Believe it or not, I came up with that. So, thank you for being here, and I appreciate it that you guys made the time to sit here, and hopefully you learned some stuff. And until next time. All right? See ya.